The Cleveland Cavaliers have been exactly what everyone expected them to be these past couple of years in this second post-LeBron James era. They made a half-butt attempt at staying relevant when they re-signed Kevin Love to a long-term big money deal a couple years ago, but the big three of Love, Tristan Thompson, and Matthew Dellavedova just doesn't quite have the same ring to it. In the 2018 draft, the Cavs struck gold when they selected Colin Sexton, and so far this year, rookie Darius Garland has shown some positive flashes, but apart from these two, the roster leaves a lot to be desired. A lot of money is going to win now role guys. Tristan Thompson at $18 million, Brandon Knight $15 million, Jordan Clarkson $13 million, Larry Nance $12 million plus 3 more years after this one, and then John Henson and Matthew Dellavedova are each making $9 million. Like I said, a lot of money to a lot of win now role guys. Kevin Love is really good, but carry a team he cannot. We saw it with the Minnesota Timberwolves, and we are seeing it again today. Recently, the Cavs broke the news to the world that they are open to moving their big money all-star, which obviously has stirred up a ton of rumors, which is what pretend NBA analysts like myself love to look into. This is why we are here today. I have come up with 5 trade scenarios which I think are the most reasonable. These 5 are in no particular order, and keep in mind, I am not going to be discussing draft picks involved because it becomes a lot more complicated that way. So without any further ado, let us begin. Starting things off with the Orlando Magic. I have them sending Aaron Gordon and DJ Augustine to Cleveland in exchange for Kevin Love. Orlando is a team that barely slipped into the playoffs last year after many years of messing around in no man's land. Too good to land a top pick, but not good enough to make any noise in the postseason. For some reason, management decided to run it back this year, and as you would expect, it's not really working out. Their young players, Jonathan Isaac, Mo Bamba, and now Markelle Fultz, are all taking major steps forward this season, but their veteran leaders are looking a little stagnant. Aaron Gordon being one of those leaders. When the Magic drafted Gordon back in 2014, there was a lot of hype following his name. An electrifying young athlete with a world of potential, playing basketball in beautiful Orlando, Florida. The dream gig for a dream prospect. Yet things have never gotten very far. The 24-year-old Gordon is in his 6th NBA season. Instead of hitting his peak, he has disappointingly regressed across the board this season. I think it is time for a change of scenery. Maybe moving up north and continuing to develop with running mates Sexton and Garland is exactly what he needs. Augustine, meanwhile, is a salary dump in this situation. He certainly has value as a veteran floor general, but the Cavs have a plethora of point guards young and old. I could see him getting waived, or they could keep him for mentorship purposes. Either way, Cleveland gets cap space and potential. Orlando would be rolling out a starting 5 more designed to compete in the Eastern Conference. This trade makes a lot of sense to me, and I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say about it. The next trade scenario I have is the Indiana Pacers sending Miles Turner and Doug McDermott for Love. This one works in a lot of the same ways as the Magic trade. Indiana is a genuinely competitive Eastern Conference team that is fighting for a home court playoff spot even without their best player, Victor Oladipo. Their current weird situation is the fact that Domantas Sabonis and Miles Turner play the same position and are at the same ripe age of 23. Both have plenty of room to grow, but as it stands, Sabonis is the superiorly gifted offensive player as well as being a better rebounder. Turner's claim to fame is his elite shot blocking, but other than that, he falls short across the board. The Cavaliers would love to replace Tristan Thompson with Turner next year, and the Pacers would love it if Love played next to Sabonis right now. Meanwhile, McDermott is not a completely useless player to get thrown away into the mix. He's an elite win-now shooter who is looking more like Kyle Korver with every passing season. These two's presence in Cleveland would help keep them somewhat competitive today, while also giving the franchise room to grow tomorrow. Another great deal for both sides, in my opinion. Next we head to the Western Conference, in a silly but real one. The Minnesota Timberwolves sent Gorgui Dieng, Jarrett Culver, and Noah Vonleh for Love. Sounds a little odd, but let me dive in. Gorgui Dieng is a very serviceable center in today's NBA who is held back by a lack of on-court minutes in Minnesota. Comparing his per 36 stats to Tristan Thompson, you will see they are almost identical, except Dieng is noticeably better when it comes to protecting the rim. Jarrett Culver has done nothing wrong. He is a rookie, barely a third of his way through his first NBA season. He does a little bit of everything, but understandably has a lot of growing to do, especially when it comes to his efficiency numbers. Developing next to Sexton and Garland makes more sense to me than where he is currently. And lastly, Noah Vonleh is a dude who flat out does not belong in the NBA. I could make a whole video on him, I swear, but let's just imagine him getting waived here. The Wolves would be getting a Kevin Love homecoming, which the fans would adore, and Andrew Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns would have a significant weight lifted off their shoulders production-wise. This would pay off immediately for Minnesota, but the Cavs would need some time to make it worth it. I see the financial burden being erased and the prospects and draft picks on the roster making this deal worth it for the Cavs, if nothing else. Next, we stay up north but head a little west for the Portland Trail Blazers. They would be sending Kent Bazemore, Jusuf Nurkic, and Nasir Little for Love. Sounds like a second weird one, but allow me to explain. Kent Bazemore is a veteran role-playing salary dump. His production in Portland has been abysmal, plus Carmelo Anthony is filling his role and some, so I say it is time to kick him out. Nurkic, meanwhile, is a beloved player in Portland for his team leadership and on-court production. However, I must remind the world that they have Hassan Whiteside, a more efficient scoring, better rebounding, and better rim protecting center. Jusuf Nurkic peak is equal to the peak of Marcin Gortat, 15 and 10. He is expendable. Cleveland would prefer his salary over Love's, and Portland would prefer Love over him. Lastly, Nasir Little, a rookie forward who has a lot of potential, but obviously has done nothing yet. The Blazers would be rocking a 5 of Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, Carmelo Anthony, Kevin Love, and Hassan Whiteside. That is pretty intimidating. Cleveland would be getting more prospects and draft pieces with room to grow. And now my final potential trade destination. The first 5 were in no particular order, but let me say this is by far my favorite of the bunch. The Phoenix Suns send Tyler Johnson, Frank Kaminsky, and Eli Okobo for Love. Cleveland would once again not be competitive this season after making this move, but the purpose of this trade is for the long term, remember that. Tyler Johnson is a solid combo guard capable of averaging 10 points a night off the bench, but more importantly, he is on an expiring contract. Think of him as DJ Augustine. Frank Kaminsky is an actual piece which the Cavs may intend to grow with, a floor-spacing big man with okay rebounding abilities, but the 26-year-old may wind up being dumped somewhere else. And lastly, Eli Okobo is just a throw in here, a young point guard who can develop with Sexton and Garland. He may turn into something or nothing, it's really not that important in this trade. Of course, this package is the least impressive of the 5, but can you imagine a first 5 of Ricky Rubio, Devin Booker, Kelly Oubre, Kevin Love, and DeAndre Ayton? They would kick butt. Thank you guys for watching. Please let me know other trades which you can think of or other players which are on the trading block. Please comment, like, subscribe. I will see you all next time.